An odd sort of grace. You'd think finding a woman half dead in the back of your cab on a Tuesday morning would be the kind of thing that ruins your week. But you'd be wrong. She wasn't bleeding, thank God, just slumped, pale as hospital lighting, with a post-it note on her forehead that said, "Don't call the cops." And I didn't. Not right away. My name's Connor. I'm 47. I drive a black cab because it's easier than speaking to most people. I believe humanity peaked somewhere around the invention of indoor plumbing and has been limping ever since. But I also believe in soft-boiled eggs, violins on the street, and the chance that a stranger might change everything. She sat up like resurrection, blinked slowly, then said, "You look like someone who's lost everything but sarcasm." Her name was Mara. She was wearing a coat 2 sizes too big and shoes that had seen better decades. Said she'd just needed a break from everything. I didn't ask what everything meant. That came later. Instead, I drove, out of habit, around Hyde Park, past the Thames, through streets that had seen more ghosts than tourists that morning. She didn't ask to go anywhere. She just sat there, quietly observing me like I was the museum piece. "You always drive aimlessly?" "Only when carrying human mysteries," I replied. She smirked. I noted the small scar near her temple. A story, I assumed. Probably 10. Eventually, she asked for coffee. Not posh coffee. Not foam art or oat milk with Latin incantations. Somewhere that smells like burnt toast and existential dread. I took her to Bernie's. A greasy spoon diner with laminated menus and eggs that looked suspiciously sincere. We sat across from each other like two people who'd met in a waiting room and decided to stall fate together. "You ever feel like you're running from something invisible?" she asked. "Every time I enter a bank," I said. She didn't laugh. Instead, she stirred her tea like it held secrets. That was Mara, constantly decoding the world, but never revealing the legend. As it turns out, she wasn't homeless. She wasn't drunk or delusional. She was simply done. Not in a dramatic way. More in the way a light bulb flickers before settling into silence. She told me she used to be a civil engineer. Lived in a flat with a man who left one morning and didn't come back. Not because of tragedy, but because he met someone more alive. She didn't cry, but something in her voice sounded like glass deciding not to shatter. I didn't console her. Instead, I said, "I once spent 3 years with a woman who believed horoscopes were government surveillance." She snorted tea. And for a moment, we were okay. Over the next week, Mara kept appearing. Not every day. Just often enough to make me suspicious that fate had gone soft. She'd hop into the cab at odd hours. No destination. Just wanted to borrow my silence. We listened to old jazz, spoke about the death of wonder, the tyranny of productivity, and the majesty of salt and vinegar crisps. She once asked, "Do you think people are mostly good?" I replied, "I think people are mostly tired. Goodness takes energy." She liked that. Wrote it down on a napkin and called it Connor's Gospel. I called it honesty. Mara began volunteering at a hospice. Quietly, without fanfare. Said the dying didn't ask for solutions, just company. Meanwhile, I started waking up with fewer complaints and less existential heartburn. She didn't fix me. God, no. But her presence made cynicism feel lazy. We never flirted. Never crossed lines. There was a deep respect between us that made romance seem like a detour. We were the kind of friends who could sit on opposite ends of a bench and say everything without speaking. That, I've learned, is rarer than love. One day, she handed me a sealed envelope and said, Open this when you forget who you are. Then she vanished. No goodbye, just absence. I didn't see her for 4 months. Not a word. She became a silence I carried with both hands. Then, one winter morning, she reappeared. In the back seat. Just like the first time. Only this time, she was thin, pale, and her voice had an echo in it. "Cancer," she said. "Stage 4. Her smile was soft, unafraid. "I just didn't want to waste your time with another slow goodbye." We spent her final weeks riding around London. She told me stories she hadn't told anyone, like how her mum used to sing to street lamps, or how she once proposed to a boy with a jelly ring. She didn't want hospitals, just moments. Moments with crisp air and cheap tea, and a man who never asked her to be anything other than human. When she died, I sat in the cab for hours. Didn't drive, just sat. And then, I opened the envelope. Inside was a note. "Connor, you made me believe people are worth the trouble. Don't let the world convince you otherwise." So here I am, still driving, still grumbling about potholes and humanity's slow descent into absurdity. But every so often, when someone steps into my cab with heavy eyes or shaking hands, I listen, really listen. And sometimes, when the silence is just right, I swear I can hear her. Not as a ghost, not as a memory, but as an echo of grace, reminding me that even the most broken souls can leave behind light.